Um, anyone who has previously recorded? Oh, okay, you're recording. That is good to know.
Thank you.
Um, please continue to record, and thank you very much for doing so. Um,
Welcome
okay.
everyone to week 4 of the Lucid Dreaming 5-week Lucid Dreaming course brought to you by Dream Cafe. Today we are going to be talking about why you don't lucid well. And maybe not you particularly, but why some people have trouble with lucid dreaming and some of the things that could potentially come up. And so we got a few segments we're going to cover for you today. We're going to talk about lucid dream quality, we're going to talk about dream control, some potential problems that come up for people, and we'll end with what ideal practices look like. And so, without further ado, thank you everyone for coming today. We will, of course, have our typical Q&A section at the end, and we're looking forward to presenting to you today. So we can get into. Do you want to? Would you? Are there any particular segments that you're particularly attached to?
Not particularly. However, I like my explanation on vividness.
All right. Well then, you can start with section segment 1 then, if you would
Okay.
like.
Segment one, lucid dream quality. Um, so here we are assuming that you are getting lucid dreams, and it's just about the quality of your lucid dreams and making them the best lucid dreams that they can possibly be. So, first of all, we have the problem of getting short lucid dreams. So, waking up immediately after getting lucid, or waking up, soon after getting lucid without getting a chance to do everything you want to do. Um, so, first of all, I'd like to clear up some misinformation that nothing in a dream should wake you up unless you want it to do so, or unless the dream ends naturally. So, a lot of people will think like closing your eyes in a dream will wake you. No, that's misinformation. No action that you can perform in a dream will have a set outcome which will wake you up. Um, if you want to wake up in a dream, you can do that manually, but we're not talking about that here. Um, so the main possibility here is that you are getting lucid at the end of your dreams. Um, this is quite common for beginners and it tends to improve with time. Simply, it's possible that you end up getting lucid near the end, and then as soon as you just try to do something, you might just feel the dream fading away, and that's no fault of your own. However, if this happens a few times to you or to um, anyone, or you hear that that can happen, you might develop the association between lucidity and waking up. And this is not a good thing to have for obvious reasons because you don't want to wake up every time you get lucid. Um, so I'd say a few things that you can do here is simply to, before you sleep, reinforce the idea of simply, completing dream goals or having fun in your dreams and stuff like that. And remind yourself that when you get lucid, nothing will wake you up unless you want it to or unless the dream ends because um, you shouldn't be cutting your own lucid dreams short. They can be amazing, they can be long. There's no reason as to why they should be short. Um, should we add anything here? Or
Yeah, a couple things. So one thing that can happen, one of the reasons why we actually tend to wake up at the end of our dreams is because, or we get lucid at the end of our dreams, rather, is because we're getting lucid. We're just starting out. We don't have any experience, and so our as the dream is ending, our brain starts waking up a bit more and becoming a little bit more active as our sleep cycle starts to end. And so it's more natural as a beginner to get lucid right near the end of a dream. You have that realization and then you wake up pretty quickly. It becomes a problem if you then internalize. So you then take, a couple of experiences. Oh, well, I had XXX experience, XYZ experience, and that means every time going forward, I'm going to have that same experience. One of the things about us is like, you know, we're used to waking life things that are objective. Like you touch a hot stove. I covered this before. You touch a hot stove, you're going to burn your hand. And every time you touch a hot stove, you're going to burn your hand. And so you learn, hey, if I touch a hot stove, I am going to burn my hand, so I don't touch that hot stove. It's a survival mechanism for us, and it's important. The thing is, though, dreams aren't waking reality. Dreams are subjective, and so the objective rule, quote unquote, mindset doesn't apply because you're in an area that is made through your own perceptions, and we'll get more into that in dream control. But one of the issues that beginners have, and specifically with waking up, is taking a subjective experience and objectifying it, saying, okay, well, my experience is always going to be like this because of this one experience that I had. And that is a pretty common pitfall to fall into, which is why it's important to mention.
Agreed. Um, Next up, we have stabilization, because stabilization is a very blurred topic, and we definitely need to shed some light on the good ideas behind it and the bad ideas behind it. So, first of all, to clear things up, stabilization is not inherently necessary in any dreams. Um, when you become lucid, you do not need to stabilize because it's still a dream and you don't have to stabilize your normal dreams, do you? So there's no reason why your lucid dreams will become unstable suddenly. Um, Now, I'm not too strong on this, so I'm going to
I'll
expect
take it.
Skyfall to chip in, but I'd like to mention that we're talking about, well, in the resources channel, there is stuff on stabilization. And because stabilization can help with simply grounding yourself in your dream and as well with control. And there has been research done on spinning having an effect on your
Yeah,
dream.
I, I think I can
You can
segue
know.
from there pretty easily. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so one of the things with stabilization is it's and why there's some good and bad around it is because it's just like with many lucid dreaming concepts, it's been misinterpreted pretty strongly over the years. And so if you actually go back and read Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming by Dr. Stephen LaBerge, something everyone who is seriously interested in lucid dreaming should do. It's a great book. It is a good foundational resource to have, and it helps kind of provide some perspective on a lot of things. But stabilization was meant for when a dream is naturally ending. So you're naturally starting to wake up. And so instead of waking up, you're trying to prolong an experience. It's not that the dream itself is unstable or that it's a requirement, it's that you're trying to prolong an experience and postpone, waking up naturally from the dream experience. And so it's more like engaging your senses. And the spinning thing deals with, with internal balance, basically. And then other things like sensory engagement, engaging your various senses, touch in particular, other senses to try to ground yourself. It's more of prolonging an experience. It's not a requirement. And it is, there's some dream control aspect to it. Of course, like if you perceive that something will work a certain way, it will. And so we'll get to dream control in a little bit. But one of the things that can make stabilization negative is that if you believe that your dreams are unstable and in the context of, oh well, it's a requirement, I have to do this, now you've developed this association between getting lucid and having unstable dreams. As someone who actually dealt with that for a while, I can tell you it's not fun, and that actually does cause more problems than it solves. And so it's important to understand the context surrounding the concept.
Of course, yeah. Um,
Your favorite.
okay, so yes, my favorite. Next, we have low vividness, which is something which I think many people experience. Now, the number one reason why people experience it, well, essentially, there's two reasons why people could experience it, and it could be because of the way they are inside of the dream, or the way that it could be a problem with inside of the dream or outside of the dream. Inside of the dream, it could be a problem because you're associating your dream with low vividness, or outside of the dream, most likely it's a dream recall problem. Because you simply might not be remembering your dream as it was, and therefore you're remembering it to be sort of like hazy or um, dark, or just not exactly as much like real life as it um, might have been inside of the dream. So dream recall improvement, which we went over in the second course, super important. Um, do work on that, just no matter what. As for inside of the dream, it's possible that you could develop the association, which Stifle went over how associations can affect dreams, um, between your dreams and lucidity, maybe with being low vividness. Um, I think one of the best practices for this is that you can either from outside of the dream set intentions to realize inside of the dream that, you know, things don't have to be dark or um, things don't have to be low vividness, but then also outside of the dream, you can set intentions to inside of the dream if you become lucid. You can take the chance to sort of almost do a stabilization technique, you could say, but essentially just take in the dream world around you to help increase the vividness and maybe some would say make the dream feel even more real than waking state because that's possible to do as well. So, a practice which I like to mention and I like to put forward that people should do it is that when they get lucid, they could almost do SSILD in the dream, where you pay attention to what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're feeling, maybe even what you're smelling or tasting. I don't know if that's not a part of SSILD, but still.
Just sensory
Because then
engagement.
you can
Yeah.
really sort of ground yourself into the dream and things which you wouldn't normally notice like the sounds of birds and trees or something like that will suddenly become apparent to you and this will sort of increase the vividness from inside of the dream and that can help a lot. Alternatively, you can also do something like associate an action with the vividness increasing, for example, finding a dial somewhere, and then if you turn up the dial, then the vividness of the dream can increase. I think this is just generally a fun thing to do in dreams because it can make the experience more memorable and fun, and it can make it feel more real. Um, but it's also a great way to like sort of counter vividness problems.
Hmm.
Um, do
Hmm.
you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just for a couple things. Probably one of the better ways to at least know the difference between well, is my vividness a recall problem or is my vividness a lucidity thing? Is it an associative problem like where I'm dreaming and I'm lucid and I just the dream isn't vivid? Well, I think the best way to really tell is well, while you're lucid in the dream, are you noticing vividness problems while you're lucid? And if that's the case, then there's a vividness issue in the dream because you're lucid and you're noticing the problem. But if you don't notice anything with respect to that, and you wake up and you recall not a very vivid dream, but you were lucid, but you didn't really notice anything like that, then there's a better chance it might be a recall issue because recall is a really big part of that if you're not remembering it. And the same thing goes for waking life memories in terms of vividness. You know, the less detail you remember from a waking life memory, the less vivid that experience is. And dreams are not an exception to that rule. And I think we get into low presence a little bit. So deals with basically just how aware are you or how much memory access do you have. Are you active in the present moment? Are you able to remember intentions? There's a few things that go here, and this deals with I think what you call higher awareness lucidity or higher level lucidity, where you're more aware of everything around you being part of the dream. You have better access to waking life memories that includes intentions to remember to do things. And so in terms of like completing dream goals or doing things you want to do, there are times maybe you're just not remembering to do them when you get lucid. And one thing you can do to help with that is you can set intentions for doing dream goals. My favorite way of doing that is mild. Obviously, I'm a big mild fan. For anyone here who knows me, for those who don't, I love mild. By the way, that's kind of one of my things that I enjoy. And so you can use mild to set intentions for completing dream goals. You can also just set intentions for completing dream goals. I love imagining doing a dream goal though, just because it gives you an idea of what it could feel like. It helps you develop that association between okay, well, what am I going to do, and how should it play out, or how could it play out, and can help. I think in maybe making you a little more confident in that. You can also set like intentions to be more aware. I think daytime awareness practices should are really fit in kind of here pretty well because the more aware you are in waking life, the better chances you'll have to be more aware in dreams. And so you can add daytime awareness to the repertoire of things you can do to help your dream awareness and your dream presence. And of course, like the grounding techniques and stuff that we've talked about, used for mainly prolonging an experience. We just talked about engaging sensory engagement to try to increase vividness of an experience. Um, and so that kind of comes up a little bit, but again, the goal is to not like think that your dreams aren't going to be, you know, unstable or that they're going to be unstable, that they were going to cause you to wake up, because that's not what this is. This is basically just trying to increase your overall clarity of experience, or to rather just to prolong an experience that's naturally ending already.
Right. Well, I think this brings us to the end of this
Mm-hmm.
section segment.
Yep.
That segment, Stifle, you've been looking forward to this, I think. Do you want to
I
go ahead and
have. I've been licking my
you,
chops.
you can just do a massive overview and then I can chip in if I feel the need to.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
My
go
my
ahead.
favorite style of public speaking. Hello, everyone. Welcome to segment two. We are going to talk today about dream control. And so, dream control is a concept that I'm sure most of you here are probably familiar with. I mean, most people's goal with lucid dreaming is to be able to control their dreams at the end of the day, or rather, in the middle of the night. And so, you were wanting to learn exactly how you do that. Well, a lot of the first thing I want to address is a very common misconception that lucid dreaming means to control your dreams. That's not true. Lucid dreaming, as we've said before, is the awareness that you're dreaming. Dream control is a skill, though. It's a separate skill. You get so many questions online about, well, I'm getting lucid, but I can't control my dreams. Why? Well, getting lucid is one skill and controlling your dreams is another. While lucid dreaming works off of awareness, we've just been talking a lot about awareness and how aware you are of what you're doing and your presence in the moment and your access to memory. While dream control, while lucid dreaming, rather, excuse me, works off of awareness, dream control works off of perception. And there's a lot more to perception than just your physical senses. All right. Well, you are seeing things, you are hearing things, you are maybe touching things and maybe smelling things, hopefully good things. Unless you're eating, you're probably not tasting things. And so your senses do play a role in your perception, but there's a lot more to that. And that goes into our sort of our subconscious and how we associate things with each other. What do we think when you see something? You make a value judgment, you make a judgment about it. What are you thinking? What do you believe about what you're experiencing? What are your emotions? What's your mindset like? You could, if you're walking around a, a dirty street at night at like midnight and there's no one else around and you see a person coming towards you who you just can't identify, you might be, some people might look at that situation and go, oh crap, something bad's probably going to happen to me, because there's the way they subconsciously are associating these details to each other. And it's not even necessarily a conscious value judgment either. It could just be a subconscious association. It could be a survival instinct. Well, you're trying to keep yourself away from danger. Well, you could take that exact same situation, someone you can't identify, you can't see walking towards you. It could be a completely different situation. You could be at a friend's birthday party and have a very similar situation happen and not be anywhere near as scared as you might be on a dirty street alone at night, because the context matters. All the different things you're associating to each other matter in a given moment. And your emotions matter too. How you're feeling about that situation. Are you already on edge? Like if you're walking around at night, are you already on edge because you're walking around somewhere dirty at night and you're alone? Are you already on edge because of that? Or maybe you're a little nervous about what you're going on. That influences how you perceive things. Mairon, could you please mute maybe? Thank you.
Oh,
Um, And so that influences how you perceive things while awake. And it does the same thing in dreams. The difference is when you're awake, there are externalities. If there's another person there, just because you perceive that person might be trying to do a certain thing doesn't mean that person is trying to do that thing. It's just your perception of it. There is an external reality that is not based on your whims and what exactly you want it to be. Dreams, that's not the case. Dreams are based on your perceptions. It is an echo chamber, basically. So there's a really famous quote from LaBerge, and I've misquoted it several times, but it's a really good one. And it talks about, perception is dreaming, constrained by sensory input. Dreaming is perception without sensory input constraint. And so basically, dreaming is your perception. It's just there's no external sensory input there that is determining, kind of the world around you. It's all created by your mind, meaning what you strongly associate with happening is what happens, for good or for ill. Now, the ultimate purpose, the foundational purpose of dream control is self-control. It's controlling your own reactions, controlling how you associate things with each other, and basically using that to control the world around you. And so while you might hear about certain techniques, will do this thing, every single dream control technique you can hear about will say, oh, well, if I want to teleport, open a door and go through a door, every every single dream control technique is designed to do one thing: to strongly associate whatever actions you're taking or decisions you're making with the results you want. Every single dream control technique. I've yet to find any dream control technique that doesn't have anything to do with this. That is foundationally how everything works, and that means there are no set techniques. It is limitless. Anything you come up with in the moment, anything you can think of that you could strongly associate with getting a result that you want works, and it works because you strongly associate it with working in that moment. There are things that can interfere with dream control. Some emotions, for example, being nervous or anxious or fearful or doubting yourself, can interfere with dream control. If you believe that nothing you'll do will work, that's going to interfere with dream control. If you have a mindset that you're not good at something or that you just can't do a certain thing, that's a mental block you create for yourself. That can interfere with dream control. And so all these things matter. And at the end of the day, dream control is all about self control. It's all about you, how you react to things, how you perceive things, how you associate things with each other. One more thing I'd like to add to this is that in absence of information, our brains are very good at filling in the gaps. How do they do this? So, say for example, I'm telling you right now to imagine yourself on a train. You're taking this train to the big city for the day. And you get to the big city and you're going to walk around when the train stops. You're going to get off and walk around town, visit the sites that you enjoy, and spend the day there. So that's very vague and generic. But if you're actually imagining that scene and putting yourself in it, your brain's going to fill in details. For example, where are you sitting on the train when you're imagining yourself in it? Are you on the right side? Are you on the left side? Is it a sideways facing seat, a forward facing seat, a backward facing seat, an aisle, a window, a middle seat? Is it a commuter train or a subway train or a long distance train? What city are you going to? What comes to mind when you think of going to a big city for a day? What do you do? What kind of places do you go visit? How long is a day for you? Is it 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.? Is it 5 a.m. to 10 p.m.? And so there's all these different things. And in dreams, we do deal with a lot of like really vague details, just very kind of basic things. And you might see something, for example, out of the corner of your eye, and then boom, it becomes something pretty complex because your mind just associates it with something and fills in all the details for you. And so I wanted to give you that little bit of an exercise just to get an idea of what dreaming can be like in that sense. And I think that helps people understand how dream control works, because we do associate a lot of these things with each other subconsciously, and we can control that process.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add because you covered a lot.
Okay.
Um, I suppose the most that I should do is simplify it, but then I would risk repeating what you've said.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you think that wraps up the
Well,
segment?
I think that wraps up dream control pretty well. If anyone
Okay.
has any questions about dream control or about anything specific, we will have a Q&A section, and we'll gladly answer those as well.
Of course, sounds good. Okay, should we move on to segment 3?
See, yes.
Potential problems. Number 1. We're just like here to cover like all of the potential problems that you could have, just in general, not necessarily from within dreams, but like just in your practice. Um, so first of all, we have nightmares, which is something that first of all we have to tackle the topic of the idea of lucid nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I believe this subject should be taken seriously, even though lots of people don't really understand that it's not generally going to happen. Many people will be worried about lucid nightmares happening to them if they get lucid, or simply because they get intrusive thoughts or something. So, first of all, I think it's important to mention that just if you think about something happening in dream, it doesn't make it happen. Stifle, of course, just explained all of dream control, and so now you should understand that there's a lot more to it than just expectations, obviously. So you shouldn't worry about just thinking about something scary and then your entire dream turning scary at once. That won't happen. However, in the case of nightmares and lucid nightmares, I think lucid nightmares um, generally tend to come, in my opinion, with a presence problem. Because if you're really being very scared for like your life or something, then you're probably not lucid because if you were completely with high awareness, then you'll realize that nothing is real and nothing can harm you. However, there are definitely cases, although not common, um, where you can have lucid nightmares, and I know people who do get them on a frequent basis. And however, this is not like a very common problem faced. I think the solution generally is affirmations, understanding dream control, overcoming your fears and dreams is a good thing. Obviously, you can induce lucid nightmares if you want to, if you want to scare yourself.
If you're crazy
You
enough
sort
to
of,
do that, yeah.
yeah, you'd have to be a certain type of person to do that. But
Mhm.
I got warned by someone, you have to be prepared. So I don't know. I stick to the normal lucids, but lucid nightmares are a thing. Um,
I do think there's some clarification to add there. In fact, that
yeah,
just getting lucid dreams doesn't automatically make you get lucid nightmares. That's not how that works. No,
yeah,
if you're worried about lucid nightmares, the question I would ask is, okay, well, how often do you get non-lucid nightmares? Like, how often are you actually getting nightmares just as a general part of your dream life? How often is that happening? Because getting lucid doesn't really change that per se. And some of the things with lucid nightmares is it's really a dream control issue for people who are lucid, like who actually know that they're dreaming. Dream control again can fail, and particularly like if you're in what we perceive as like a really scary situation, and you aren't really, and especially for a lot of people who really aren't aware of like how dreams work and control like can be controlled in those certain ways. So if you're really a tense emotional situation and then you find yourself getting lucid in that situation, and then maybe you're trying to do things. One of the biggest caveats with a nightmare is a lot of people's default reaction when they get lucid in a nightmare is to try to wake themselves up. And there's actually reasons why this is not a good idea. And one of the main ones is waking up is a form of dream control for the most part. If you're trying to consciously wake yourself up, that's dream control. If you're in a very fearful situation, you're nervous about what you're trying to do working, then you're in a situation that's conducive to dream control failing. And if you're trying to wake up and you fail, now you've basically created a situation where you've intensified your own fear of, for example, being trapped or being in whatever scary situation you find yourself in. And since, dreams work through perceptions and our emotions are part of that, intensifying your fear just makes the experience worse. And so, again, when I get back to that dream control is self control thing, that definitely applies in situations like this. Even and there's I think hope here as well because even small changes in how you perceive an environment can have profound impacts in dreams. So if you're in a lucid nightmare, say you're being chased by a lion, and you just instead of running away, you just turn around and stop and go like, "Well, why are you chasing me?" I mean, you totally changed how you react to the dream. And you didn't have to change much, and you can just change how you're reacting in a given moment and do something you wouldn't normally do because you're not limited by your typical fight flight freeze responses in dreams. Like you don't have to be, there isn't a waking life actual consequence, there's nothing that's actually going to kill you, and so you are free in a way to try to take different approaches, and even some small changes can have pretty profound impacts for people who deal with these kind of things. That's what I wanted to add there.
good addition. I think to move on a bit to non-lucid nightmares, I think there are many people who get. I think we should also cover like recurring nightmares and recurring dreams, which are all of these ideas are a great gateway into lucidity. Because if you go to sleep and you can do a practice like mild is just amazing. Um, you can set intentions, reinforce intentions to become lucid when you're in either a recurring situation that you end up being in your dreams or in a scary situation if you tend to get a lot of nightmares. Because the thing about lucidity, inducing lucidity, and getting to understand your dreams is that it, any patterns that you find in your dreams are a potential gateway to lucidity that you should be taking advantage of. Um, So, for example, if a certain scary dream kept happening to me while I was being chased by a particular monster, I could really put lots of intent into associating this monster and this situation with becoming lucid. Also, negative emotions such as fear, you can kind of set intention to recognize them and to become lucid in such situations, where you can then proceed to control the dream, turn it into a normal dream, or you can actually sort of try to overcome the nightmare and do the things that Stifle before suggested when you're in a sort of like scary dream situation. However, another thing you can do is you can simply just like fly away of the situation. You can go into another universe where everything is happy and nice. There's nothing um, keeping you in a specific situation. Um, does that cover it?
I think just about. I will say, um, and again, a lot of that is to deal with your own perception. Again, well, it all is really because
Yeah.
that's how Dream Patrol works. But your emotional state, how you think, your mindset. For example, for me, I strongly associate dreaming with safety, and so I have some suspenseful dreams, sometimes some stressful dreams. But even my scariest dreams never get to a point where I'm experiencing anything graphic or anything serious because I associate my dreams with being safe places and especially my lucid dreams. And so that actually helps me a lot because I associate dreaming with safety, and that's something that I find really useful. But also, you don't have to run away from the experience to change the experience. You can just change the experience. I mean, people have
Mhm.
reported things like, for example, engaging with whatever the scary thing are in a different way. And if you're no longer afraid of what's in front of you, then what's in front of you is going to change to reflect that you're no longer afraid of it. So it's going to be something that you're not afraid of anymore. And you'd be surprised because things aren't things can change pretty easily and very malleable in dreams, including people, characters, objects. And so things can change in front of you. You don't exactly have to try to leave the situation exactly. You can change the situation from within it. So there are different approaches. There's no one best approach. I would say 100%, at least not for every single person. But that just goes with the territory of lucid dreaming, and I think we've pretty much covered that. Now we get to what is
I'd
everyone's.
like to add to
Oh, sorry.
something that you said about your mindset because that reminded me, to sort of give an alternative view of this. You said you associate dreams with a place of safety.
Hmm.
However, I know I know someone who associates dreams with the unknown and associates unknown with scary stuff happening and as well like sort of like adventure and stuff. So all of their dreams tend to be this person is a frequent lucid dreamer as well. Pretty much all of their dreams are lucid. And so it's essentially the association between this unknown and scary stuff tends to happen in their dreams, as well as sort of exploring and discovering interesting new things because of this association. It can completely change your dreaming experience, your mindset towards dreams. I think that idea should be pushed a lot more. I think it's a pretty interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're going on to everyone's favorite topic. What exists in lucid dreams and dreams in general that can be fun in moderation and annoying in excess? If you guessed false awakenings, you would be correct because that is exactly what they are. False awakening is basically a dream, and it's not necessarily a separate dream, but it could be just a dream scene, could be part of another dream, where you dream about waking up and going about your day. And these can happen in a few ways. This can happen, for example, if you transition into wild, you can have the same kind of dream where you think you haven't fallen asleep yet, but you actually have, and you're in bed, or you have fallen asleep and you just transition and you're fully aware, and then you're aware that you're in bed, but you're just in that same situation, or you're waking up and you think you've woken up, or you're just looking around your room and you go about your day and you go about doing things you normally do, and then you wake up again. It's like, oh crap, I was dreaming that whole time, wasn't I? Some of the funniest but also saddest are when people get up in false awakenings and actually journal their dreams and then they wake up for real. Because that does happen to people, and it's like dream trollery in a sense. But false awakenings can be a useful tool for lucidity. Again, they're fun in moderation. They can be annoying in excess if you get like loops of them. But if you state test or if you're critical of your environment and what you're experiencing whenever you wake up, or rather whenever you think you wake up, because that's the qualifier here, then you can use false awakenings to kind of notice that you are in fact dreaming. And so you can do that with critical state tests. You can do that by noticing your environment. Sometimes when I've woken up in false awakenings, I will just feel a certain way, and I'll just feel more off than usual. It just won't feel completely right. And I'll go, hey, this doesn't feel right, so I think I'm probably dreaming. And noticing some, pretty vague but noticeable dream signs like that has helped me in false awakenings before. Um, you can, if you getting into a point where you're associating getting lucid with false awakenings, to me that mostly happens in false awakenings, where for me personally, I've gotten nervous or anxious about doing something and I'm worried about waking up, and then I just get this false awakening loop where I'm trying to repeat the same thing, not maybe not even the same thing, but I'm trying to do something and I get like 30 seconds to try each time, and then I go into another loop. That's where it's annoying. And thankfully that's something that doesn't happen to me very often at all. um, I guess I will say it's more of a dream control problem. It's not necessarily a lucid problem. It's a dream control problem, and that's in terms of just my emotional state from my own personal experience. That's my emotional state that's causing it, and so I know the cause, and that also means I can work on dealing with the solution, which is an important thing there. But yeah, if you do wake up and you think, okay, well, am I awake or am I dreaming, or you think you've woken up, and you can examine your environment, you can catch false awakenings and use them for lucid dreaming.
Indeed. Um, did we move on to the next part now?
I think so. I will say that
Okay.
number 3 is definitely, if you got to have one of these next two problems, number 3 is better than number 4 for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. Um, okay, so number three, which is closely connected to number four, which I wrote like 5 minutes before the course started. um, Number three, falling asleep in awakenings. So, set the scene. You've set your awakening alarm for 3 a.m., and then you either wake up, immediately turn it off, fall asleep again, and then in the morning, damn it, I forgot to do my technique. Or you wake up, turn it off, fall asleep, and then in the morning, you don't even think that you woke up because that awakening was so short that you didn't even remember it in the morning, which is also possible. If an awakening is very short and you don't gain like really any awareness in it, you can pretty much forget it in the morning. Um, and so these are like common occurrences. It's also possible that you did sleep through it, but unlikely. As I said, it's more likely that one of the last two happened. Falling asleep in awakenings is something which many lucid dreamers unfortunately have to experience. Well, do experience. One of the main things that you can do is you can change the time of your awakening alarm if you are choosing to use an alarm. So you're supposed to get between you're supposed to get a normal amount of sleep of like between generally like 7 to 10 hours, depending on the age group. We'll get into this later. Um, so it's recommended to set your alarm between 4 and 6 hours after first sleeping. You can, if you're falling asleep too fast because you're super tired and you're awakening, this is actually generally a good thing because, like, if you're able to do your technique and then fall asleep fast, it will significantly increase your chances of lucidity because you're falling asleep very fast into your next dream, and then your technique can work. Or if you're doing a wild technique, then the transition between wakefulness and sleeping, the faster is the better. But if you're super tired, like so tired that you're not even able to do techniques, you might find it better to move your awakening alarm maybe from 4 hours to 6 hours after first sleeping, for example. It's always a good idea to experiment with this and to try and find, a sweet spot of where it works for you specifically. There is no general idea of like where it's going to work for everyone because everyone is different. However, I think the best solution is using natural awakenings because they are when you are already waking in the night. And then if you set intention to notice them, then it might be like a bit more natural for your body to be awake in that moment, and then you might not fall asleep as fast or something like that. Another thing that you can do is you can change the length of your awakenings. So if you're only spending like if you're only intending on spending like just 1 minute awake, it might be a good idea to decide to try and get up and go to the bathroom, for example, or get a glass of water. Definitely, in my opinion, journal your dreams and your awakenings is a good idea. Um, and so, yeah, you can make your awakening longer, and that might have positive effects. And last but not least, most importantly, I think, in my opinion, is setting intentions to stay awake in your awakening and do things like maybe delve or journal, um, and your technique, of course.
Yep. And that goes right
Um,
alongside natural
when you
awakenings. Yep.
yeah, I'm just saying when you set intentions to stay awake longer, this can cause you to, you'll have more motivation to do your techniques, and then you'll be able to stay awake longer and hopefully do them. I can say personally that does bring results, and it's always a good idea to reinforce your intentions to lucid dream whenever you know have a positive mindset towards your practices that you really want to do them, and um, then you'll be able to do them better.
Hmm.
What do you have to add?
So basically, yeah, the on setting intentions to stay awake and not using natural awakenings, those
Yeah.
pair really well together because they both revolve around
Mm-hmm.
using intentions to notice when you wake up and to stay awake. If you're someone who finds yourself falling asleep really quickly when you wake up, if you can get yourself out of bed for a few minutes, that can definitely help. Maybe even stay awake longer. If you're someone who can fall asleep in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, maybe even stay awake longer. The goal with both of these is there's a couple different types of people. So for the average person who's not dealing with any sleep disorders or not dealing with any real chronic sleep problems can find a balance between both of these, between falling asleep too quickly or not being able to fall asleep quickly at all, and using experimentation to find when would be a good time, or how to best utilize an awakening, maybe to stay up longer or not stay up longer. And so for both of these, there's going to be a balance, but there will be some people who find that more difficult, and we're going to get to that in a minute.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Speaking of getting to that, we are going to get to that. So, as for the topic of to flip things around, not falling asleep in awakenings, and again, sometimes not surprisingly, we're going to almost cover the exact same potential solutions to this problem as we did for the last problem. So you can once again
Okay.
change the time of your awakening alarm. You can make it earlier instead of later, more towards maybe 4 hours after first sleeping so that you're more tired. You can change the length of your awakening so that you're doing a lot less, because really there is no minimum amount of time that you have to be awake for. I mean, DEILD exists. So um, you can just try and stay awake for 1 minute. And I think a practice which is often looked over is, because I place high importance on always journaling during awakenings so that I don't forget my dreams in the morning, which, as in
Mm-hmm.
the dreams that I remembered then in the morning, which often happens to me. I think a good practice to do, if it would take you a long time to journal entire dreams in your awakenings, something which you can do is you can simply tag your dreams. So you put a few keywords relating to your dreams. Um, which will help you remember them in the morning. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, a dream that I had last night, I was with my family from the USA, and my cousins were there, and then we sort of like went scuba diving or something like that. And so I could put down the keywords, I could tag it as like
Mm-hmm.
um, USA family, scuba diving
Mm-hmm.
with cousins, or something like that. Just keywords which will allow you
Okay.
to remember your dreams in the morning, which will take a lot less time to journal than the full dreams. And then in the morning, you can journal them in full, because remember, it is a good idea to spend at least 20 minutes journaling. Um, and then you won't be staying up long in your waking. Um, Again,
Because
using natural awakenings can be useful for people, just in general, especially because in natural awakenings you aren't sort of like startled awake by your alarm, which can make it easier to fall back to sleep, especially as you normally fall back to sleep in your awakenings. Um, Next we have
nope,
uh
I have more to add to that.
oh, I was looking at the wrong one. I thought that was a fourth thing. Continue. You can add some.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, because I was actually planning to I was actually thinking about this section, but basically, natural awakenings are far superior to those with alarms because alarms tend to be more startling, tend to make it harder to fall asleep, especially I am a light sleeper, and so the light sleeper side of this is something I completely understand. It's not only something I sympathize with, it's something that I empathize with. It's my life, and so I completely get it. Now, staying awake as little time as possible, not even getting out of bed can be a thing for someone. So, for example, if I get out of bed and I'm awake for too long, it can take me 30 minutes to fall back asleep. If I don't get out of bed, I can fall back asleep in 5 minutes to 10 minutes. And so it's, it is a game changer in that respect, whether or not you actually get out of bed. That's something important. Also, there is a group of people who will find issues with using awakenings in general because of sleep disorders and issues. People who suffer from insomnia, for example, someone who takes 2 hours plus to fall asleep at night, someone who has medical sleep disorder problems, like someone who's having real problems sleeping. I will just add as a caveat, if you're someone who is watching this and you actually take a very long time to fall asleep, like you're taking more than an hour, I would really advise that you see a professional sleep doctor about that because that is not a normal sleeping pattern. It is something that could be detrimental to your health in general. And so I would definitely recommend getting that looked at. And if someone does have issues where if they wake up, they just cannot fall back asleep and changing the time of the awakening doesn't work well for them, there are some people where maybe that's not the best thing. Maybe you're someone who does have that, insomnia, as mentioned, you really have trouble falling asleep. And so it's a really good tool to have, but it's a small percentage of people. There are some people who do have issues with making that work. It's just, for most people, for the average person, including light sleepers, you can find a way to balance it out. The time you spend awake is completely arbitrary. It's up to you and should be based around how quickly or easily you can return to sleep.
Great. Um,
Now, segment four. And
Good.
we have
I'm done with that.
12 minutes, by the way.
12 minutes. Should I go for the first part?
Let's see. Some of this is really simple.
Mm-hmm.
I will run. I'll run this until I'll actually do this. I'll run
Okay.
it through consistency or to the end because I can cover most of this very quickly. All
Um,
right.
do you wanna?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go on.
So first, we're in this second segment, we're talking about ideal practices. So these are things that you can strive for, things that you should be looking to do. The first thing to look at is sleep schedule and overall sleep hygiene. Keeping a consistent sleep schedule is important. Falling asleep at the same time or waking up at the same time actually helps you fall asleep more quickly and helps make your sleeping patterns more predictable. Getting consistently a healthy amount of sleep is also important. So that's 7 to 9 hours for adults, 8 to 10 hours for teenagers or for minors, and of course being consistent is important with that. All of those things together do help with lucid dreaming, just with overall sleep health. If it's good for sleeping, it's likely really good for lucid dreaming as well. The one thing I'll also say is that if you do regular awakenings, budget that into your sleep schedule. So budget the time you spend awake into your sleep schedule to ensure that you're still getting the healthy amount of sleep that you need each night. Now, using good techniques, reliable techniques, so finding, doing your own research, finding, learning about each of the different techniques out there, like mild SSILD, awareness techniques, wild anchors, all these different things. You can make your own personal variations if you find specific things that work well for you, like I did with my mild guide, although I kind of based it off of Dr. Lamarca's. And look in terms of looking at dream signs, and of course being an analytical person, I kind of went for the analytical side of identifying and finding things and logically analyzing them. And so you can make your own variations. Start with a good foundation of effective and reliable methods, things that have been researched. Start with a foundation there, and then if you find something that works particularly well for you, as Sensei would say, if you find something that works well for you, spam it. and keep going with that. You're also not limited to one technique. We talked about pairing techniques earlier. I recommend daytime awareness practices like sporadic awareness technique, for example, um, and being aware throughout the day alongside night techniques. And then you can techniques like mild, for example, working really well with other forms of intention like recall intention and intentions to wake up. Perspective memory training during the day and mild at night work really well together if you want to improve your perspective memory. SSILD can be used as intended, as originally intended. It could also be used as a wild anchor. So there are things to think about there. The one thing, regardless of what methods you are using, is to stay consistent with your routine. So whatever lucid dreaming routine you establish for yourself, remain consistent with it and give it at least a month of consistent practice before switching. And part of that with the consistency also goes into burnout problems. Remember, the goal isn't to stress yourself out because you aren't getting results or because you want to lucid dream within a certain time frame. That's not really how to see this. Kind of, this is something that consistent practice builds for, just like with any other skill. But if you're trying too hard, like a weightlifter who just puts in all of their work in 1 week and then just like say they're trained 10 hours a day, like a really, really ridiculous number for a whole week, the weightlifter is probably going to be burnout. And so you don't want to stress yourself out of it. Being stressed out can actually hinder progress. And so that is something really important to consider. And so making sure that you're practicing consistently, you're also making sure you're getting healthy sleep. Try not to stress over results. You can take breaks every now and then. I just wouldn't take breaks for too long because you can actually lose progress, just like with any skill if you stop doing it first long enough. But you can take reasonable breaks and set up a routine that works for you. The goal is. The one thing I will say is the less you practice, the more time you would need to spend with a method. So say you're only practicing 2 or 3 days a week, then you probably need more than a month of consistent practice with the method before switching, just because you're not practicing as much. And then we talked about mindset. Mindset is, it's not maybe everything, but it's a lot. It's foundational to quite a lot to do with lucid dreaming and dream control. And so that is something that's very important. Having a positive mindset. This is something you can do. You can learn that you or notice that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. This is an attainable goal for you. Try to set reasonable goals for yourself, like a short-term, medium-term, long-term goal for yourself, that are realistic and reasonable, and have a can-do attitude and mindset, because that will definitely help. Okay, now you can add anything you feel like I missed.
I'm trying to eat this mango, and it's like whenever I take a bite, you then like stop talking.
As you bite into the mango, listen to my voice as I stop talking.
Exactly. Um,
Hmm.
where were we? I don't think I have anything to add. I mean, we're kind of like early. You
I
sort of
know.
went over a lot of stuff.
I blitzkrieg.
Did you
Well,
do
I
the
just like
honorable
blitzkrieg.
mention of mindset?
I did talk about mindset. I just blew like I went right through the whole thing, and I did talk about mindset and having a positive mindset, how important it is to have a positive mindset, and just to be able to, to have a good mindset for lucid dreaming as well as for dream control. A can-do attitude is part of that. It's really important. If you go into the like, I've seen the examples of a bad mindset on Reddit. There's a guy who's, I'm not going to name, who's been making posts about why he can't lucid dream now for 3 4 years, and he's been making posts on and off like that for the past like 5 months, and it's always the same kind of thing. And his mindset is a big part of the problem because he believes he can't do it. He believes there's divine forces keeping him from lucid dreaming, and it some of it stems from his own practices and you know falling for bad information when he was started out. But his mindset's a really big part of it, and mindset can make or break you sometimes, and so it is very important.
Indeed. Sorry if I'm not like paying 100% attention to like what you just said before, because when I'm eating a mango, I'm
It's a
distracted.
really good mango,
Um.
isn't it?
Anyway, we're sort of 6 minutes early. Also, Myron left. That's so sad.
Myron left. Yeah. um I think you wanted to play guitar.
Yeah, that's like fair. He's also playing Minecraft. He was playing Minecraft the
Hmm.
entire time. I can see it in his profile.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I
Um.
Q&A.
Yeah, I suppose that probably covers everything. Um. People can now request to speak. And we will call on you. I suppose I'll wait like a couple seconds for people to request. Let me see. Hello, welcome.
Hello, what's up?
Hello there. How you doing?
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to know if it would be a problem if I would have the aim to just, walk around a forest or something and just, enjoy the atmosphere without any action, listen to some music if I would have to worry about waking up because of not enough, I don't know, sensory. You know what I mean?
Are you talking about, so you're dreaming and you're talking about, oh, you're
Yeah,
dreaming and
in the
you're like
lucid
walking
dream.
around
And
in a forest?
one of my goals is to just, walk around the forest and enjoy the atmosphere and chill a bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Again, it only becomes a problem if you actually believe that you're going to wake up. If you
yeah.
associate that experience with waking up. No, the experience itself, there's no objective problem with that at all. You can absolutely do that. I mean, there are
That's
people
good
who
to know.
there are experienced lucid dreamers who meditate in lucid dreams because they
Yeah.
find that to be a fulfilling experience. It's a very similar thing to kind of what you're talking about, but just a
Yeah,
little
well, I
different.
joined here about a week ago, so I'm pretty new to this
Well,
actual
welcome,
information. Yeah,
welcome to Dream Cafe.
yeah, I was kind of like I fell into a trap of YouTube
It's
information,
a
So
trap.
yeah, so I'm kind of getting used to all this new information and just taking
Yeah.
it all in. All right, that
Well,
was it
if
for
you have
me.
any questions, you can feel free to ask us. All right, thank you very much, Peter. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay, then thank you so much.
How do I get?
Yeah, cool question. Who have we got next? We don't currently have any requests, it seems. You can raise your hand with the option on Discord, and then you will be requesting to speak, and then we can bring you on stage.
The model you inside of me really makes me want to go. Are there any points of motions on the floor at this time?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we suddenly just got like 4 more people. Okay, one sec.
Awesome.
Okay, I will invite you. Hello, welcome. You're currently muted. If you didn't know that.
Welcome.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Samuel
Uh,
Completo.
hey, I wanted just to ask if you guys are doing something like interpretations of the dreams, like of the symbolic meaning and stuff like that. If there are any
It's not really something we
techniques
do
for that.
here. Not really
Oh, okay.
something we do here personally.
Okay.
We focus on like lucidity, so on getting lucid, realizing that you're dreaming, noticing that you're dreaming, working through dream control, which is one of the things we talked about today. Interpretation, there are people who do lucid dreaming and interpretation. I've got a friend who does that. You can find people online who do that kind of thing if that's one of the things you're really interested in. It's just not something we do here.
Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, thank you so much. I will move you into the audience. Okay. Who have we got next? I invited someone to speak.
Okay.
Are you there?
They haven't joined us yet.
Yeah, I know, but like,
You might
I
want to
have
invite.
invited someone to speak. However, I'm not sure if they are currently.
You can always invite another person. Oh,
Yeah.
we have 45 now. Someone joined
Yeah,
us
I
right in
know,
the
right?
middle.
45.
Whoever just
Okay.
joined, welcome.
I will invite someone new.
Oh, hello again.
Hi.
Flower, long time no here.
I I just wanted to say that I was thinking maybe I was thinking apps. I was thinking maybe you just kind of like use apps for like to to track my sleep cycle. I think it will be a bit useful for since if like coming when your next couple starts and it's so important.
Are you talking about using like Fitbit data or something like that where you can just track your overall sleep?
Like this. Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, those can be useful for that, like getting an idea of when you're falling asleep, when you're waking up. It's not perfect, but it is accurate. It is reasonably accurate. And so some of those things can actually help you get an idea of like your overall sleep. And just for overall sleep hygiene, I think that's a good thing.
Because like I myself like don't really know when my natural awakenings happen, so
Yeah.
that's why I want to do
I
this.
don't know how well those track our natural awakenings. I don't know how well they track them. Polysomnography would be able to track that really well, but you will get an idea of your very basic level sleep cycle data. Like it'll say like non-REM sleep and REM sleep, but it won't differentiate between non-REM sleep stages. At least I don't think Fitbit does. And there are three non-REM sleep stages generally recognized, and so it won't differentiate between those. Um, and
That was
it
an
will tell
article
you
anyway.
non-REM versus REM sleep, and it will, I think, tell you like if you're fully awake. I don't know if it recognizes all of our natural awakens because they're usually so short that like they're really really short. So I don't know if it recognizes those very well. I don't have any experience with that.
Still, it's better than nothing.
Oh yes, it is definitely better than nothing. It'll definitely help you get an idea of your overall sleep.
And if you got an idea, I can then actually try to like better follow when and what focus on. If it makes any sense. I need to actually start falling asleep early because here's the thing, I need to sleep more, but also I'm stuck between the fact that I have friends in different time zones and uni.
Oh, I know what that's like, but yeah, sleep is very important. It's not something to just be set aside. It's something to prioritize. So I definitely recommend doing that.
Yeah.
You have to make time for your sleep. It's important.
Yeah, but
Okay.
also okay.
Is that all then? Or is this okay?
Egg Lover has joined us. They're muted now. They will be. I
Okay,
guess the
see
next
ya.
ones to speak. See you, Flower. Thank
Egg
you.
lover is Daisy.
Oh, that's Daisy. Okay, I didn't see
Hi,
her come
Daisy.
in. Daisy, you keep changing your name on me. How am I supposed to know who you are? That's gotta be a crime. I don't know. Next people to speak. I assume we
Okay,
still have a
thank
few
you.
requests.
I'm still eating this mango. Yeah, we have the celebrity appearance. Anyway, I invited someone to speak. Hello, welcome.
Donergy, hello.
Are you hearing me?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me in. I have a quite easy question. I would like to know if you can get rid of addictions by lucid dreaming, like you can quit smoking or quit using alcohol and stuff.
Now, I don't know all. I take what I say with a grain of salt. I don't know all the literature on this. I do think there may be some evidence that you can maybe simulate those activities in your dreams. My advice to you though would be to not do this alone, but to pursue this alongside actual professionals. Um, Not just trying to do this all by yourself. If you're someone who actually deals with addiction or is suffering from that, um, definitely don't go it alone. Make sure you have a support network and are able to actually work with people.
Alrighty
This is
then.
one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
What do you think? Let me see. Who have we got next? I will invite you. Hello, welcome.
Rift, welcome.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing today?
Good. I just like don't know when to differentiate between like just like the normal shapes behind your eyes and then hypnagogia.
Hypnagogia is probably be more complex. It's also not just visual. Hypnagogic hallucinations include auditory, tactile, or other sensory hallucinations, most commonly visual, auditory, and tactile hallucinations. And so it's more than just like really basic visual stuff. And I will say this as a blind person, I don't really get a lot of visual stuff, so it's not really my area of expertise. But it would be a little bit more complex than just random lights or like random phosphenes or things behind your eyes, and you would likely notice some other component as well.
Okay.
You have any other questions?
No, thank you. That's all.
Well, thank you for your time, and do hope you have yourself a good afternoon. Thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you. And we don't have requested yet. I think something funny sometimes goes on with Discord where like there are requests but then they disappear or something, or maybe I don't know.
The stage eats them.
Okay, we can have
Oh, we have more.
Peter back again.
I'm
So,
back.
Welcome back.
As no one was raising their head, I thought I could ask a question out of interest.
sure.
If for some reason I would want to get out of a lucid dream, like not even by waking up, just going back into a non-lucid one, are there some good ways to do it?
Just don't be aware of what you're doing.
Just give up, let
Well,
loose, and it's
I
gonna
don't
happen.
know, because the thing is though, I don't know why people would generally like. For most people, this is like the opposite of what most people are trying to
Yeah,
do.
that's my thought too. Why would I
Losing
not want to do anything I want to?
losing for someone who is not a natural lucid dreamer, losing lucidity is so easy for most people because it's what they're probably. If for beginners, it's a really easy thing to do. I mean, just get caught up in whatever you're doing in the dream that you forget that you're dreaming.
Yeah,
I don't know why someone would deliberately want to do this, especially a beginner, but um, I guess if you just didn't want to, know that you were dreaming, you just engage with the
well, I'm
like
not
dream
planning on it, but
content.
I thought maybe if you are
It's a
maybe
it's
feeling
an
mentally
it's
bad,
definitely an
and
interesting
yeah,
one. There's some interesting stuff, but a lot of that seems to be more of an issue with dream content than dream
yeah,
lucidity, I think. And people who are naturally lucid dreamers says I don't want to lucid dream. I get those questions a lot, and 99% of the time, it's someone who's having very stressful dreams or having nightmares or having something that's dream content focused that's
yeah.
causing them to feel that way versus actually just being lucid in it.
Well, I don't think I would want to get out of a lucid dream too, but it was just
Yeah.
out of interest because no one was raising their hand.
Yeah,
But thank
15
you.
of them I see, right?
15, yeah. Since I started 1.5 months ago,
Wow,
actually,
that's
it's
that's
going
actually
pretty well. Yeah.
pretty good for your first month. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. I mean, I knew it for like a couple of years, but I really started doing it about 2 months ago. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming here and joining us.
Thank you for answering my questions.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, let me see. Hi,
Okay,
welcome.
hello.
Hi,
Masayuki
welcome.
Suzuki, hello, welcome.
Yes, hello. I apologize for earlier. My Discord was going through an update and it wasn't letting me accept. So
Did you accidentally hit that button that said update when you were in the voice chat?
yes,
Ooh, ouch.
yes. So I was in a bit of a loop, but here I am now.
I had an issue with that last night where it was updating and updating failed, but also had zero storage on
Yes.
my computer. So,
Yes.
okay.
Well,
So, what's
thank
your
you,
question
of
for us?
course, for yeah. So, lately I've been trying to get more into like practicing meditation and mindfulness, and I've been doing like reality checks throughout the day and practicing awareness, which has been quite good for me. But I was wondering how like what I can focus on in meditating to help with clarity and for the goals that you were talking about and like um, recognizing like wakefulness or my mindfulness in dreaming.
Well, you can. I'm not a meditation expert, so I'll qualify everything I say with that because it's not really something I do personally. But you can just be aware of, so what you're doing right now, what I'm saying to you, what you're experiencing, critically thinking about and examining your environment, going through life more aware. Mindfulness isn't just a meditation. I think it's also like a state of being in a sense of being aware of what you're doing, not going through motions just on autopilot and just being more actively involved and present in the experiences that you have as a general rule. As far as like your dream goals, if you're trying to remember dream goals through intentions, setting intentions to do that, um, is there anything specific you're looking to do?
Well, I think right now it's like I've been notating dreams, and I've been trying to break down dream signs to see like
Ooh, that is
what is
fun. Dream signs are
consistent.
fun. Yo, dream signs are
Yeah,
fun.
and
Are you looking at all your dream signs, or are you just looking at recurring ones? Because dream signs are fun.
it's a fairly new concept to me, even though I've been really interested in dreams and lucid dreaming for a long time. So I've only recently been doing this, but yeah,
Do you do any other
mostly
practices? Like, do you
reoccurring.
do any techniques
In the past I've tried wake back to bed. Um,
with?
at the time I didn't have much success, and also mild. Um, but I
How
feel
have
like
you
only
how have you done mild in the past?
before going to sleep, repeating phrases that are concise for me as long as I can, and trying to do it with more intention.
And
I haven't had a whole lot of success,
okay,
unfortunately.
I'm blind, but also we don't have cameras on, so you couldn't see me shaking my head. But unfortunately, it doesn't sound like you've actually ever done mild before.
Okay.
Mild is not about repeating phrases to yourself. That is actually the most common misconception and misrepresentation. The reason why I asked you that is there's actually a couple of reasons I asked you that. One of them was that the concept of dream signs is very new to you, is what you just said. And you also said you had
Mhm.
done Wake Back to Bed, and you indicated that you were doing it without other techniques. And so I was very curious where you had learned about mild, because I figured that there's a decent chance you probably learned it inaccurately, and turns out that was correct. But that's a lot of people. You're not the only one. You're just one of millions. So you're not the only one by any means. We do have some good mild guides. I recommend reading Chapter 3 of Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming for the original. I'm also a big fan of Dr. Kristen Lamarca's on mindfulluciddreaming.com, and then I have my own. So if you would like to research it more, it's a great thing to do when you're learning to recognize your dream signs. Mild is great for that, and so I definitely recommend looking into that more.
What was the name of the resources again, just so I can notate them?
So, Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming, Chapter 3, Waking Up in the Dream World. That's a book by Dr. Stephen LaBerge. We have the mild guide from Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming in our resources forum channel. You can go in there and
Mhm.
find it. I'd also recommend mindfulluciddreaming.com. There's a mild guide there by Dr. Kristen Lamarca that I am very partial to. And so I'd recommend looking at that as well.
Okay. And if you can, like, I guess briefly tell me, what am I doing wrong, and how can how should I change my mindset to correct this?
For mild in particular, or just in general?
For mild and in general, if
Well,
it's
for
all right with you.
mild, it's not as necessarily a mindset problem with mild. It's just that you really weren't doing the technique. You had just learned incorrectly, and it's not your fault because you were just learned from a source that wasn't great. And so mild involves, you have that intention to notice that you're dreaming, and you're actually taking that intention, and you're combining that with a previous dream that you've remembered, and going through that dream, finding, dream signs in it if you can, then doing what's called rescripting that dream and imagining yourself getting lucid in it and what you would do while lucid, and then repeating that altered dream, the altered version of that dream, and then sort of reminding yourself that you're going to notice that you're dreaming before bed. So it's a lot more than what you had been doing. You
Mhm.
you would just unfortunately fall in for the most common misconception for you know for any lucid dreaming technique. That's the most common misconception on the internet for any lucid dreaming technique,
Mhm.
unfortunately. But it's one I see every single day, and so it's not something I'm new to. But as far as your mindset in general, I think, as long as you have the mindset of this is possible, this is something I can do, I think that's a really good approach. Daytime awareness, meditation is good. It's not something I've done personally, but it's something that a lot of people recommend doing mindfulness meditation. It's a good thing. Making sure if you're doing state testing, that's what people call reality checks. It's state testing or reality testing. If you're doing that, make sure that you're doing critical state tests. So that means critically thinking and being present in that moment. Combine that with your mindfulness meditation. Be critically thinking about what you're experiencing, your memory since you last thought you woke up, looking for any dream signs, looking for anything out of place, which would be a dream sign, looking for anything like that, and then truly questioning whether or not you're dreaming. So being critically aware and doing mindful critical state tests would be the part of that daytime awareness practice. I think you have a pretty good daytime awareness technique going. I think that's good. Your dream journal practice, you can work on that more for recall. I don't know how many dreams a night you remember. Finding dream signs, anything out of place in any way, anything with a low chance of happening while awake, or anything with a high chance of happening while in your dreams, and then your recurring dream signs, any dream signs or any patterns or themes that repeat themselves in your dreams. And so make a game out of it, because it really can be fun sometimes just to find how ridiculous some of the dream signs are. And so it can actually be a fun experience if you let it.
Yeah, that's really actually it's really great that you word it like this, because I'm actually a musician and I've been like studying music for a while, and only like really recently under a new professor have I like understood that everything can be, in at least in music, can be kind of calculated, and it isn't a matter of luck but a matter of practice and consistency to make these things work. And there are a lot of traits in that carry over to this as well, and everything you described, that
It's a skill.
it's really a science and a skill.
It is. It absolutely is. And just because it's a mental skill doesn't make it any less of a skill.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have any other
Yes.
questions?
Well, I think I'm all good. This was actually my very first time ever joining like the chat.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Look forward to talking to you more. Have a good day.
Yes, you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't think we have any other requests, but if people want to request right now, that would be great. MP just left chat temporarily. That's fine though. I'll be moderating chat. So can other people. We have a lot of people here now.
Showing 34.
Let's type all fill the silence.
Yeah.
Fill the silence.
Oh, who?
Fill the silence.
Fill the silence. Now you're making me think of Doctor Who. There's villains called the Silence. If any Doctor Who fans, any Whovians would know that. Show requests.
I'm back again. Hello.
Oh, hello.
So I got a pretty absurd question for any of you. Imagine aliens come down to the Earth and tell you, they pick one random person from the population, tell you, if you don't get them to lucid dream this night, the world's gonna get destroyed. What would you tell this person to, or yeah, tell them to do for the night? To maybe, you can't guarantee it anyway. But what would you try to do?
SSILD Sensei's 20 wake back to beds in one night intentions, and
Yeah, like just
yeah.
if you're spamming it in one night, that's a good way to kind of like, it's not a sustainable practice. So it's definitely not something to do like constantly. It'll totally destroy your sleep.
Yeah.
Doing something that way constantly would be pretty bad. But if you want to just dedicate one night to lucid dreaming, you can do multiple methods. You could do mild before bed, during awakenings. You can do multiple awakenings, do wild or SSILD, do daytime awareness, like everything. But I definitely wouldn't recommend that approach as a general rule, just because that's like a really, I think, crazy way to go about it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable, so it's not something you can really keep up, and it's not really how you go about learning a skill typically. Like
Yeah,
if you
of
just
course.
want to get one result and that's really all you care about, then maybe you try that. But if you actually want to develop a practice, it's like going to the gym and like putting everything you have into just one thing once and like just burning yourself out completely.
Yeah, deadlift 400 pounds once at least.
Yeah, and then break your back, and then
Yeah.
yeah. Alrighty. You have anything
All right,
else?
thank you. No, that's it.
All right.
Just a little thought experiment.
Thank you.
Okay then, thank you. We have someone requested, and hello, welcome.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
The question I have is that when I'm delving, I always fall asleep, but if I don't remember anything. What should I do?
So one thing I'd recommend for this, so if you're delving and you fall asleep, so you're someone who falls asleep easily, you can do a few things here. You can try to have like some noise going on that maybe keep you awake. One thing I'd recommend though is setting multiple alarms. And so say you have an alarm to wake up, and then you have another alarm 15 minutes later. Now there are a couple things this can help you with. One is having an alarm several minutes later is sort of an intention thing as well, because now you know this alarm is going to go off, and so you're more likely not to fall asleep because you know this alarm goes off is going to go off, and then even if you do fall back asleep, that alarm can wake you up a little bit later, and so you don't spend that much time asleep. um, I would say delving is definitely worth the risk in the sense that the downsides are pretty minimal, but the upsides can be pretty useful in terms of recalling your dreams. You should also try to maybe make yourself a little uncomfortable, maybe like clench your fists or legs or something. Try to make yourself a little bit less comfortable, so a little less likely to fall back asleep. I do think having the multiple alarms can help. Something that can that can wake you back up. Um, Obviously, you don't want to distract yourself too much while delving, because then you can lose track and just lose track of those memories. But I definitely think having that extra alarms there helps, and then finding a way to make yourself a little less comfortable while you're doing it maybe could help a little bit. So those are kind of the things that I'd suggest.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And by the way, guys, we temporarily lost Leo because his PC crashed, but he'll be back.
He wasn't actually speaking, but was he? What was
he had the
streaming?
subtitles.
Oh, the subtitles. He does the subtitles. Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
what
he
he did
does.
because he had the. I had no idea what he streams.
Yeah, he does subtitles like automatically generated.
Oh,
And
cool! I had no idea he did that.
yeah, it's useful for people who like
It is.
have
Well, I know
English for
they're
things.
very useful for people who have trouble hearing. I know.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know that he did that because, of course, I've never seen his thing though.
He also uploads everything to the guides channel. I don't know if he's still doing it. Anyway, we have someone in chat asking, "Is Lucid Dream Portal a good resource as well?"
We
So I'll just
discussed
answer
that.
this question.
Yeah, we discussed
We
that a few
did
weeks ago.
discuss that in the first course. That some of his information is good, some of it is kind of like mid, and he has like he's not a good person.
Also, for everyone talking about daylight savings, I will remind everyone now, and also remind everyone. I did this last week. I do want to apologize for everyone because the event until literally today was actually scheduled for the wrong time, and that was rectified. So I want to apologize to everyone for that. But because the time zone changes, for example, the United States is changing daylight savings tonight, and so we dropped back an hour tonight. I guess Europe did it last week, and so because of that, um, the timing will be a little bit different. Could be a little different. I hope Europe did it already, and so when we drop back, we'll be back in sync. But I would just remind everyone to please check the event time, because that is relevant to your time zone. And we're going to make sure that next week's event, the time is accurate. So I just want to let everybody know.
Yeah, yeah, I sort of apologize because I did like sort of randomly set up the event wasn't even set up until like a couple days or like yesterday or something. I don't know, because I was late at doing that, and then welcome to the stage, and then I had like the wrong time because my time doesn't change. I wasn't sure when the time was changing, and I wasn't, and my Discord time is wrong in comparison to my real time, so it was just all broken. I apologize.
It's probably because your Discord is based in your internet makes it look like you're living somewhere you're not, and then Discord just screws it up or doesn't respect or understand your local time zone. And that's just a flaw in the software, which
and
is
it doesn't
unfortunate.
understand that I don't have time changes either. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah,
But anyway,
it's not designed. It's an oversight that their company needs to fix. But anyway, Quartz residents, thank you, or Quartz residents, thank you for joining us. What questions do you have, and how are you doing today?
I'm realistically, mentally not doing the greatest I'd like to be, but that's its own thing, personal issues. And I have a question, and it stems from some frustration that I'm having as I listen, but I can discuss that in depth in text rather. Um, so I want to ask, because my introduction to lucid dreaming was Stephen LaBerge's Exploring Lucid Dreaming paperback version.
Oh, that's a
and then
good resource. Exploring
and then
lucid dreaming.
and then
Works.
after that, I found out about a British man by the name of Charlie Morley, and
Ooh.
I haven't really heard his works discussed a whole lot here, but I wonder
You
if
missed a couple of weeks ago.
oh, I did? Okay.
His combined technique and LaBerge's reflection intention that's based on that were actually mentioned and brought up there. Not a
Okay.
lot of his works have been discussed because, to be honest, a lot of us aren't too familiar with a lot of his work, but he was mentioned.
Okay. So I because I did miss one session, and I wonder if he's an okay resource to use, because I use this to evaluate my personality, as you will. But when I hear the phrase, like when Crystal says, like, that's, misinformation, or someone's like, that mild is wrong, I feel like everything I learned is a lie, and I'm like, I get really frustrated and want to start over. Well, I want to scream. Sorry, I have a medical device that goes off sometimes,
Oh,
and
that's no
needs
problem.
to.
Go ahead.
And yeah, so like, I just wonder like what the best resources are to use, and I'm going to be looking through the resources channel again. I only gave it a cursory glance at first, but yeah.
One of the things I say is, like, when we talk about mild earlier, and I was specifically just talking about mild with one guy I was just talking to, who was in objective fairness not doing it correctly because there's a lot of bad advice out there. One of the things that really muddies the waters is YouTube in particular, and TikTok of course is worse, but there's a lot. If you know anything about YouTube in general, so if you look at like a short video, or like even a 15-minute video on something, it's designed to give you an overview of a topic. Now, one of the problems that comes with giving an overview of a topic that's not thoroughly researched is there tends to be bad advice and misinterpretations that happen very easily. So, for example, the mild misinterpretation, people saying it's about repeating phrases to yourself and that's literally it, that comes from basically taking one or two lines of Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming out of context and removing them from their surrounding context, and then calling that mild. And here's the thing, it's not only YouTubers that do this. I've seen this done in scientific papers, and I've actually heard, I'm a big fan of Dr. Kristen Lamarca, by the way, and one of her live streams, she actually mentioned this. One of her videos she did, she actually mentioned that in some papers even, they don't properly reference it. Like, there was one in particular, it was a good study, but the only time they actually got mild correct was in the instructions they gave to participants. I was like, well, at least they got it right where it counted. But in the descriptions they gave in the study, they were describing it wrong. And so it's not just YouTubers that do this. And I think that the problem that has is it does give beginners some of the wrong impressions. And so I'm curious what things you are questioning, or where you've heard things, or what things you have heard. Charlie Morey, I haven't heard a ton about him, but he is someone who is looked favorably upon by quite a lot of people. He's not just your run-of-the-mill person, random person. And I think he's done some research as well. So he's not just like a run-of-the-mill person.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I think he probably, if I'm judging your description of mild correctly, he might have. Well, no, you know what? I'm not going to say that because I need to go back and reread it.
Well, also his
But
combined and intention technique isn't mild. It's a different method as well. If you look at like his combined and you look at like reflection intention type stuff, that is different. That is a different method.
yeah, I have 3 of his books, and one of them is not really entirely about lucid dreaming. It's about some other stuff, shadow work, really. But in terms of like the lucid dreaming stuff, I really enjoy reading about it, but my life is incredibly stressful at the moment and has been for the last 10 years. So not a lot of like good sleep schedules or consistency or anything like that. So in the meantime, I'm like, well, just gather knowledge, until you can set something proper.
That is unfortunate because healthy sleep just helps with life in general, and it's unfortunate that you're not able to get that.
Yeah, well, that, and I wake up screaming. I have I have PTSD. The whole reason I went into lucid dreaming is that there's a theory that you can I apologize, may sound condescending, but there's a video game series called Persona, and I was unaware that the shadow that you face in those games is actually a real concept from Jungian psychology. And the idea is that I might be able to go back and find a memory of what happened to me and then be able to accept it and be able to accept parts of myself that normally I don't, and might not even be aware of.
So
Sorry.
it's from an unknown source, so you don't exactly know the cause of it or know what happened for it, or
I have extremely vague memories from when I was about 4 years old, but it's affected my entire life.
that really sucks. That really sucks.
Yeah, it's like it's not something I should probably discuss here because it's really bad.
Yeah.
But
So what I
yeah.
can say outside of details, because we don't need the details, is
Mhm.
you know, look around for therapists who deal with PTSD and who are willing to work with you with lucid dreaming, because that might actually be a good fit for you in terms of trying to find a way to incorporate that into, you know, dealing with the issues you have. There are clinical psychologists and therapists who deal with lucid dreaming and particularly focus on things like nightmares and PTSD. And so you might want to look into someone who deals with PTSD and nightmares and things of that nature and see if they're willing to work with you with respect to lucid dreaming, and find someone maybe who knows what that is and knows about it. Because that might be something, because you're dealing with something so complex. I would advise that you don't do this on your own and that you actually do this with a professional.
That's kind of the problem, is monetarily I don't really have a whole lot of options,
Yeah.
and I'm
But
a bit
you don't-
landlocked in my home, so
you don't have any, like, insurance wouldn't cover something like that, like dealing with PTSD?
um not the one I have at the moment. But again, my life is extremely complicated, and
Yeah.
I'm caring for my dad. Like,
Holy crap.
there's a whole lot. It's a very sob story.
Yeah.
But one thing that's been really helpful is I enjoy drawing and I enjoy writing stories and inventing characters and stuff.
Mhm.
And what happened is I found out that some of the characters I created may not have been just like spur of the moment things. Like some of them that are sort of like a guardian or a friend type of character,
Mhm.
I dreamed them first. And so they may be aspects of my personality that are just shining through in creativity. And I've received advice from them in my dreams that's actually helped in my real life. They're not lucid dreams, but it's
Yeah.
cool. So I'm like, maybe I could do that more.
I
So
do.
yeah.
Yeah, one of the cool things, you know, of course, we talked a lot about dream control today and about how we perceive things and how that affects dreams. And obviously, emotional content I was talking about is a pretty important part of that. And so, you know, dealing with something as kind of crazy as that, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that in a stressful, messed up, you know, not helping you kind of way, that I can see how that could be causing you some issues there. But it sounds like you're still having some decent dreams, even just in spite of that, to be honest. But I think lucid dreaming could help you. And I do wish that you could find a way to get access to professional resources, because honestly, it would probably be a better thing for you if you could find someone to work with you on that. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where you live. I don't know what kind of area you're in, but if there's any way you can find to get access to any resources like that, I think that could really help you. Just because
Yeah.
trying to do this on your own for anyone, trust me, I don't have the same experience you do by a leaps and bounds, but I know what it's like trying to deal with something just by myself, and usually it doesn't end up the greatest. Especially keeping things to yourself doesn't usually end the best. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
There
So,
is
but I would,
something
yeah.
there's something outside of lucid dreaming that I found, and I'm sharing this in case anyone listening to the recording is going through something similar. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score by, oh, he's a Swedish dude. Crap, I can't remember his name, but The Body Keeps the Score, and it's I would have loved to have had it when I was a kid, but the first release of the book was when I was 21 in I was born in 1990. My brain's not functioning right now, lack of sleep. But released when I was 21 years old, and unfortunately, that was the year that my parents got divorced, and I had to.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Is it by?
Anyway, that's it.
Hold on. Is it by Vessel A.
Bessel van der Kolk, yes.
Van der Kolk. All right. So I found it. I found it. Okay, so that's the body keeps the score. Brain, Mind, and Body and the Healing of Trauma by Vessel van Derkel. Okay, so yeah, that's the book you were talking about. Okay, I just wanted to see if I could find it.
But yeah, it's very good, and like it taught me some things, and I went like rewinding through my life and going through experiences that I went through. I was like, okay, so that makes sense. That makes sense. All of this makes sense. I wish I'd had this knowledge, but it was being written when I was a kid, so never mind.
Okay. Well,
anyway,
thank you
for
sharing
listening
with
to my
us.
question.
I definitely wish you the best, and I do hope you can find a way to deal with it in some way, and I definitely hope you can find a way to get access to help. Maybe see if there are any nonprofits or charitable organizations that can help people like that who have insurance problems, because it's something that people sometimes need but can't get, and it's not a luxury. It is sometimes a necessity.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good day. Thank you. Okay, we have 36 remaining. Let's see.
Okay,
Benzie wants
thank you
to
so
speak.
much.
Yep.
Did we invite someone?
I just invited Benzie.
I did.
All right. We'll see if they show up. Their request disappeared, so I thought they showed up, but I guess they didn't.
I thought so too. This is what I mean by like just for being weird with like stuff like disappearing.
Yep.
You have no.
Yeah, I mean,
You have
definitely.
no idea how much mango I'm eating.
Yeah, definitely quartz resonance. We wish you the best, honestly. No one should have to go through anything like that, and so definitely wish you the best with everything. And thank you for coming today.
Of course, certainly. I agree entirely.
All right. I'm getting some messages in the requests area, but it doesn't tell me at all who sent them. It just shows up as messages. It's like, thanks everyone, G/C.
That's in the chat area.
I know it's in the chat area, but I have no idea who's sending them because I'm on their request page to see if anyone has any wants to come on stage.
Okay. I don't know if we have anyone requested right now. Small talk. Yep.
Yeah.
We need to talk about something.
Do we have any questions? Are there any points or motions on the floor at this time?
There are 37 people right now, which I think is better than last week. But last week, wasn't it last week when we
Last week, when we finished last week, it was around 31, 32. Also, when
it's probably going to be the same now.
When we finished the stream, like when we finished the actual content portion, we had 41 people still here. Actually, 45. I think we had 45 at one point during the Q&A session.
Yeah.
So we started off with a lower total count, but we maintained a greater duration or greater people for longer, which is always great.
Yeah, that's true. We also started with fewer people than we ended up with. I wonder how much of this was time zone confusion.
Also, I wonder how much of this was the event was posted for 2 hours later than it actually was confusion.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I did only create the event a couple days ago though. But
whoever has the question, someone in text said they have a question, but their brother's yelling and playing Fortnite in the background, so they don't want to talk.
So if you have a question, you can post it in chat, and then someone can read it out loud, and we can answer in voice.
I have no idea whose questions this is, but do it. Someone just said do it. I have no idea who's sending the messages. Do you do the intention before the visualization after? I guess you're talking about mild. For me, I do it just before. It's like I'll decide, okay, I'm gonna notice I'm dreaming while I'm dreaming, go through the dream. You can remind yourself of it periodically during, and then it's like the last thing you do after as well. You remind yourself of it before you go to bed.
Well, personally, I'd argue that you're supposed to hold the intention the entire time, and ideally hold the intention as you fall asleep as well. But that part has since become optional after the original mild. However, I think it's still a good idea to try to hold the intention as you do the technique. However, you already are holding the intention as you do it, just like not as much if you're getting distracted, because the fact that you're doing it in the first place means that basically the fact that you're doing it in the first place means that you're putting intent into it because you're doing something for it. Yeah, everyone is typing their question. I think we don't need TTS. I think that would probably be annoying. In my opinion, we can just read it out loud ourselves. In my
We
opinion.
don't need TTS. That, my opinion, that would be annoying.
Yes. Okay, someone says, I've heard from an adamant entity. If I kiss one of the entities in a lucid nightmare, it becomes a normal dream.
Here's
True.
the thing. Lucid dreams
True.
are already normal,
True.
so I don't know what you mean by
True.
that. Becomes a normal dream. So funny. Like, what the? That's. I have no idea where that came from, but.
MP is just the best at finding solutions to any bad dreams. Yes, you kiss the entity in your dream and it becomes a nice person.
It's all about your perception. Yeah.
Yeah, it is all about your perception.
What if I kiss it? It eats me instead. Then you become Jonah in the whale, and after 3 days in the fish, and after 3 days inside the belly of the fish, you get spat out, and now you're in the old Israeli city of the old Assyrian city of Nineveh. Okay, I just made a biblical reference for everyone to get.
Daisy, say something funny.
Come on, Daisy.
No, not like out loud in chat.
Oh.
She doesn't
Out loud
have a
would be
mic.
better
It's
though,
so
because then
sad.
it'd be on the recording.
No, but she doesn't have a mic.
Aw, that sucks.
I know, right? I'm sad.
That is sad. She didn't have a mic. Hmm. So, how has sleep for you been these past several days?
Me?
Yeah.
Me?
For me, it hadn't been that great. I've been having to deal with this thing called a dog in the mornings, and that disrupts my sleep right at the time where I also had some other things to do. So I had a meeting in a city nearby with some people that I went to yesterday, and then some getting up just a couple hours later today. So dealing with the dog kind of messes with my sleep. And it's like, yes, Skyfall is blind. Yes, it is also in my name. It's not actually, I don't hide it. It's just, what's really funny is, so the story behind my name is I thought that putting blind in my name would actually help people understand that I was blind. So I made my name Skyfall Blind Dreamer, and then I had some help getting a profile picture of a cane. And so I have my name Skyfall Blind Dreamer, my cane profile picture. And so everyone who sees it, like people just completely don't even pay attention to it. And so I'm literally hiding in plain sight, and everyone else around me is blind to the fact that I'm actually blind. And I personally find that really funny. And for me, it's become an inside joke for the past almost 3 years. It's a cane. Yes, I'll use a screen reader. It's called NVDA. But yeah. Thought it was a golf thing. My cane. Someone sees a white cane, thinks it's a golf thing. It's pretty funny. Yep. Blind
Daisy
dreaming is
says,
like how to technique. Yeah.
Daisy says that I can't have croissant.
Yeah, it is obvious. That's the thing. That's why I find it so funny, because it was originally an experiment to see if people would actually recognize that I was blind, and then that experiment failed horribly, and it turned into a joke because it was just so funny that no one was recognizing it. And I think to this day, less than 100 people have actually realized over the thousands that I've talked to on here. Yeah. In lucid and non-lucid dreams, sight is basically the same. It's vague, very vague visualization. Where I land on the spectrum, I have light perception, so I can tell the sun's out, and that's basically it. My vision in dreams is very vague. It's not very detailed, and so I will say that it's just like waking life visualization. I used to be able to see someone when I was younger, and so I do have dreams where I can see some shapes and stuff based on memory. I can also visualize very well, it's not about visual detail, it's about associative detail and other sensory information, and actually using that to access memory, which is actually kind of fun. But I can basically tell the sun's out. That's where I am. Yep. Someone said they were unsure that I was blind, but decided to listen for a while in the first session and got there. Yep. Yep. It's a white cane. It's an emoji, a white cane emoji. That's awesome. That is so awesome. There's a white cane emoji on there. Cool. Someone said it's a banana.
It's a what?
A banana.
No, that was Daisy replying to my. Okay. No.
No, I don't force my lucids and try to force them to be more visual so I can experience it non-blind. Also, I don't actually have any real experience being able to see. It's not a priority for me because sight isn't as important as everyone makes it out to be. I navigate on my computer keyboard. I've been navigating on computers for about 16 years now, and I use the NVDA screen reading software. No, it's colors, and I never got along even when I did have some sight. all this talking of people's banana. A banana. Am I hearing this while I'm talking? Yes. In the request to speak area, just the last couple messages in chat, like as they are posted, show up and then they disappear. And so they're showing up as like buttons. It's really funny. How do I listen to talking people and the text to speech at the same time? Because there's no one else talking except me, and the only thing I'm listening to is my text to speech. And I love public speaking, and so I've been speaking for a long time. Although it can be hard to listen to something and speak at the same time, which is why I almost never, ever read from a script because it's the worst thing to do. I always extemporaneously improv or memorize, and I prefer improv. Yeah. This has gotten pretty funny.
How come so many
Yes,
voice channels these days just sort of devolve into conversations about vegetables
bananas.
and fruit?
Yeah.
Because that's what happened in like the Q&A a few
the
weeks
people
ago.
who aren't asking about my blindness are going bananas.
Oh my gosh, so true.
What was that attachment? What was that image that was just put in there?
Oh, it was essentially like a minion with a banana, and it says banana, and that's like it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I think we've officially gone. If this were a train, we'd be so far from the rails that they call it a streetcar.
Or a tram.
No, well, not a tram because trams run on rails too. So it would just be like a bus. We'd be a really long city bus.
We might even be like a submarine at this point.
Yeah. Oh my. Okay, are there any more questions about lucid dreaming that do not have anything to do with bananas? Okay, there
How
is.
did we start talking about bananas? Oh, the mangoes! Let's bring back the mango talk.
Hey, Riff.
Hello.
Welcome
when
back.
When I do wild, I get like a weird feeling in my tummy, like it's sort of like guilt.
It does what?
Like when I'm doing wild, I get a sort of weird feeling like in my tummy, like it's guilt.
That really like guilt. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I don't know if you maybe are getting some sort of hypnagogic sensation there.
Yeah.
Which is a likely thing, but guilt, that doesn't really make any sense to me.
Okay.
But
Are you
anyway,
sure
at
it's
least
not anxiety, like someone in chat just pointed out?
Yeah, because that could be a thing.
Oh, that kind of makes sense.
If you're getting nervous or anxious, it's not guilt, but you're getting anxious. That could totally be a thing.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, of course. Someone else. Welcome.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
So, unrelated to bananas, I wanted to ask about dream delving again.
All right.
Because I find it really difficult working your way back that concept of dream delving, where you basically have to take the last thing you remember and then work your way backwards to recover memories of that. Are there any tips for dream delving in a sense where you could improve on that?
So my first question would be like, how long have you been doing it?
I found out pretty recently about it. I think a month probably. And I've been doing it not consistently, but probably every time where I don't remember dreams that well in the morning.
Do you ever do it when you do, or when you are remembering dreams as well?
Not really, not really. I think that's
How
just
many times a week would you say you're doing it?
probably once a week, I'd say, at least.
Okay. Well, there's one thing you can do: consistent practice. So if you've only done it like 4 or 5 times, then you're not really getting much experience with it. And so consistent practice is one thing you can do. Another thing, how long after waking up are you doing it?
Usually for 3 or 4 minutes.
No,
I just
no. How long after waking up before you start doing it?
before starting doing it. I think I start immediately when I wake up because when I don't recall a dream, then I just go straight into dream delving. So probably less than a minute, I'd say.
Less than 30 seconds?
I'm not sure about that, but I am
Because the quicker
kind of
you
close there.
start, the better. Do you stay in the sleeping position you woke up in?
I try to, yeah. I usually lie down as well and just go about it.
You should stay in the position you woke up in because and one of the things with dream delving is it works through state dependent memory, and so you want to stay in that position that you were in when you woke up in order to help maximize your ability to associate with those memories and access them. And so probably my best advice for you would be to do it as quickly as you can. Do it in the position you woke up in and practice with it consistently. Don't just do it once a week.
All right. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You as well. Computer time.
The time is 3:53 p.m.
The time today is brought to you by. Oh, oops, nothing. Okay. I think we are
wildly
about
off
done.
topic in chat.
Just about.
Wildly off topic in chat. Yeah, I know, right?
So.
I can't believe Stifle. I can't believe your clock is 1 hour off. Like it's 1 hour off, bro. It's 1 hour off.
No, it's not. It is 15:53 hours.
No, it's 2:53 p.m.
No, it's 3:53.
Yes, you can ask the question in chat if you want to. Yeah. Oh, someone requested and then they. Oh, I don't know.
Yep.
Your head.
Alrighty. Oh my. I'm just going to ignore anything that comes up in chat. I'm going to assume it's not relevant to anything Lucid Dreaming related.
I did steal Daisy's joke for the record.
Yeah. Benzie was requesting to speak again. It says they're idle, but they request to speak. It's so weird. Anyway, so I think we are about wrapped up. The Mata UN side of me wants to go. The chair would look favorably upon a motion to adjourn the meeting. But I do think we're basically done at this point. The chat is
yeah
not on topic. So I'd like to thank everyone who stayed and listened through the whole thing, and those who participated in the Q&A. Thank you very much for coming out this afternoon. For anyone who is watching this online and you made it to the end, thank you for watching. I do hope you had a good time, and I hope you learned a few things as well from this discussion today. Again, this is Skyfall Blind Dreamer with the Dream Cafe and Dream Cafe Guides channel. Thank you for watching the week 4 in our 5-week Lucid Dreaming course. We hope to see you again in the future. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and if you are new to Dream Cafe and you'd like to join our Discord, go to discord.gg/dreamcafe. Thank you.
Thank you.